The Venezuelan government denounced the government of Trinidad and Tobago for orchestrating a military provocation plan aimed at destabilizing the Caribbean alliance with the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency. And authorities in Jamaica, Haiti, Cuba, and the Dominican Republic ordered the immediate evacuation of thousands of people ahead of Category 5 Hurricane Melissa. And in Colombia, Cepeda won the presidential candidacy for the Historic Pact with more than 65% in Sunday's primaries. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Venezuela denounced the government of Trinidad and Tobago for orchestrating a military provocation plan aimed at destabilizing the Caribbean alliance with the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency. The strategy, as outlined in the executive report, appears to be a deliberate attempt to create a justification for military aggression against Venezuela. This would represent a blatant violation of the Caribbean people's sovereignty and peace. In this context, the Venezuelan authorities urged the international community to maintain a firm stance against the interventionist actions of the United States against the countries of the region, which, under the excuse of combating drug trafficking, have attacked fishing boats from various Caribbean countries. The denunciation emphasizes Venezuela's willingness to defend its territorial integrity and its right to self-determination in the face of a new U.S. interventionist maneuver. And in response to these intrusive actions, the government stated Venezuela reports that it has captured a mercenary group with direct information from the U.S. intelligence agency, the CIA, and has determined that a false flag attack is underway from the waters bordering Trinidad and Tobago or from Trinidadian or Venezuelan territory itself, which will generate a full-scale military confrontation against our country. The statement continues, this policy of surrender and betrayal of the constitutional principles of Trinidad and Tobago has ended up hitting the very people of Trinidad. Innocent fishermen have been victims of extrajudicial executions in the Caribbean Sea, revealing the repressive and criminal nature of the current government, which shoots at its own people under the slogan "Kill them all" and celebrates the summary execution of the people of Trinidad while opening doors to murderous foreign troops. The current government of Trinidad and Tobago's collaboration with the militarization of the Caribbean by U.S. forces leaves the country increasingly isolated in a region that demands peace and respect for international law. Governments and peoples of Caribbean countries have denounced the intimidating maneuvers of the Department of War and the constant threat against the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. The influential Trinidadian politician and former Minister Keith Rowley has expressed his deep rejection of Prasad Bisesar's decision, describing it as grave, dangerous, and irresponsible. The former premier gave a detailed account of how he and other Caribbean leaders have maintained a firm stance against the interference of powers in the region.
I am so disturbed about this. You will recall, not too long ago, there was a situation where the United States government led arguments, OAS and the European Union, about regime change in Venezuela. And it got very heated, and it got to the point where people were expecting physical action. The European Union had given Maduro 8 days to leave office. The Canadians had said to us in CARICOM, time for talk over. And our question was, time for what now? And of course, the United States had its view on Venezuela. And the details, you carried it in your media, you know all about it. How did Trinidad and Tobago react to that situation? Trinidad and Tobago, as a leader in CARICOM on that matter, took a leadership role to preserve the Caribbean as a zone of peace. And we headed to New York. The Prime Minister of Barbados and myself, we went to the office of the Secretary General of the United Nations to take a different position on the Venezuelan issue.
And former Trinidad and Tobago Prime Minister Keith Rowley has criticized the current administration led by Kamala Persad-Bissessar for its increasingly belligerent stance.
Every stage of the game, you all in the media knew what your country's position was. You knew what the dangers were. You knew what we were fighting off. You knew what the successes were and what the failures were. I made my first visit to the UN General Assembly and spoke of Trinidad and Tobago's position on this matter. So the media in Trinidad and Tobago, you know our position. Why then would you convert that firm stand of your country to create a situation? What has changed to cause Trinidad and Tobago to be a platform for foreign troops on its territory in response to a Venezuelan situation? When in fact, only days ago, the Trinidad and Tobago minister in the office of the Prime Minister was in Caracas, talking to the Venezuelan leadership, as we talk to them all the time, and the Americans and others, because I was in Barbados talking to the American leadership. And CARICOM, as a unit, we cover and protect ourselves by standing on the defense of CARICOM. Caribbean is a zone of peace, and we are not supporting anybody's military excursion.
Meanwhile, in the state of Sucre in eastern Venezuela, a mobilization for peace and against war took place. The people of eastern Venezuela mobilized from early Monday morning in response to the call for peace and at the request of the regional authority of that South American state with signs and slogans. The people of Sucre showed their support for President Nicolas Maduro and the country's defense forces in the face of threats from the U.S. government following the deployment of military troops in the Caribbean. Regarding this, Governor Johanna Carrillo emphasized the need to maintain a firm stance in defending the peace and sovereignty of Venezuela and called for continued efforts to promote the growth and development of the country. Also in Venezuela, a survey revealed that Leopoldo Lopez, a far-right fugitive from justice for the past 5 years, is considered the most unpopular political leader in the country. According to the results of the survey conducted by the firm Interlaces, 92% of those surveyed expressed an unfavorable opinion about the leadership and political performance of Leopoldo Lopez. The nationwide study was conducted based on 1,200 interviews and has a margin of error of approximately 3%. The firm Interlaces specified that the data is part of its monthly monitoring of public opinion and analysis of social and political trends, as well as evaluation of public figures. And Russian President Vladimir Putin ratified the Treaty on Strategic Partnership and Cooperation with Venezuela that was signed in May 2025. On Monday, the Russian president signed the decree ratifying the association agreement with Caracas, in which both countries expressed their willingness to strengthen multifaceted and beneficial cooperation in the areas of trade, economy, investment, science, technology, and culture. In addition, the treaty expands bilateral interaction on security and denounces racism, genocide, and other crimes. The document also states that Venezuela and Russia oppose coercive extraterritorial measures that constitute a flagrant violation of the UN Charter. The treaty will be in effect for 10 years. We now have our first break coming up. Remember, you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. I'm going to be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. The Caribbean is on alert due to Hurricane Melissa, which has now reached Category 5. Authorities in Jamaica, Haiti, Cuba, and the Dominican Republic ordered the immediate evacuation of thousands of people to safe locations in anticipation of heavy rains, flooding, and the risk of storm surges and landslides. As it approaches Jamaica, the weather system is recording winds of up to 260 kilometers per hour. As a precautionary measure, the Jamaican government set up 881 shelters, closed all airports, and evacuated the capital, Kingston, and other cities. For its part, the Cuban government will evacuate more than 250,000 people in Santiago de Cuba and has declared a maximum alert in 4 other provinces on the island. Hurricane Melissa has killed 3 people in Haiti and 1 in the Dominican Republic. Both countries have ordered the evacuation of nearly 500,000 people. And in Cuba, the power company reinforced its infrastructure in the eastern region ahead of Hurricane Melissa's arrival. The company's director, Javier Calero Roman, explained that the stability of solar panels is ensured, both in parks that are already operational and those that are under construction, with protective slings, structural reinforcements, and the inspection of foundations. Also, pruning work has been carried out in risk areas to prevent damage to poles and cables. The power company also urged the public to exercise caution around falling cables and transformers and to monitor the equipment. And on Sunday, Cuban Prime Minister Manuel Marrero Cruz arrived in Riyadh, the capital of Saudi Arabia, where he was received by Prince Mohammed bin Salman. During a meeting in the State Protocol Room, the Cuban diplomat thanked the country for its support in developing key social programs and in the fight against the blockade imposed by the United States against Cuba. The Cuban delegation will participate in the 9th Future Investment Initiative Conference, which will bring together more than 5,000 leaders from 90 countries in the Saudi Arabian capital from October 27th through 30th. In addition, Marrero Cruz will hold bilateral meetings with senior Saudi authorities in a context of growing cooperation between the 2 countries in areas such as trade, health, culture, and financing for development.
In the field of health, we already have a cooperation that we have been advancing. We have doctors and health professionals in different regions of Saudi Arabia, and there is an agreement between both ministries of health. Biotechnology is an area in which Cuba is very strong, and we believe that this is also a sector in which we can reach concrete agreements.
And in Colombia, Ivan Cepeda won the presidential candidacy for Pacto Histórico with more than 65% of the votes in the consultation held on Sunday. The results detail that the senator and recognized defender of human rights, Ivan Cepeda, won. He accumulated 65.15% of the votes, followed by Dr. Carolina Corcho with 28.73% of the votes. According to data from Colombia's registry, more than 2.6 million citizens participated in these elections, which not only select the presidential candidate, but also define the list for the Senate of the Republic and the House of Representatives. This result comes after a month of judicial obstacles that sought to prevent Colombian progressive from electing their next candidates in the polls and forming a united force ahead of the 2026 election. And on Sunday, the president of Guatemala, Bernardo Arévalo, denounced an attempted coup in the country and blamed the criminal alliance that exists in the public prosecutor's office and the judicial system. Surrounded by his government team and several legislators, Arévalo addressed the country to denounce attempts to annul his mandate. He pointed the finger at Attorney General Consuelo Porras and criminal judge Freddy Orellana, whom he described as judicial hitmen. The president assured that he will go to the Organization of American States to formalize the complaint and call for national unity, while also calling on the international community to consolidate an alliance in defense of democracy.
Tecos, guatemaltecas, les habla su presidente.
Guatemalans, your president speaks to you. In recent days, the criminal alliance entrenched in the public prosecutor's office and in certain areas of the justice system has once again attempted to plunge our country into authoritarianism, corruption, and impunity. Judge Freddy Orellana, a hitman who twists the laws in the service of Consuelo Porras, tried to force the Supreme Electoral Tribunal to distort the results of the 2023 elections. This led to the unconstitutional removal of a mayor, 23 deputies elected by the Semilla movement, the vice president of the republic, and its president. Perez Orellana and their other pathetic conspirators have created a climate of terror to pave the way for themselves and destroy our country.
Un contexto de terror para abrirse camino y hundir.
Now for our second break coming up, before we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English, there you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage, and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on world's most recent events. A final break, don't go away. Welcome back. In Jordan, the 14th group of patients from the Gaza Strip arrived on Sunday under the Jordanian Medical Corridor Initiative. This latest group includes 34 patients and 78 companions who will receive treatment in Jordanian hospitals before returning to Gaza once their care is complete. The initiative, launched in March, aims to support Palestinian and ease their humanitarian suffering. Since its launch, Jordan has received 266 patients for medical treatment. In February, King Abdullah II announced that Jordan was ready to receive up to 2,000 Palestinian patients from Gaza for treatment.
My leg was blown off. It happened while I was fleeing. My house was also destroyed in the war. Both of my houses are gone. 18 members of my family were killed, including my children and grandchildren. Only 2 of my granddaughters survived. One was hit in the head by shrapnel. She was gravely injured and lost her sight.
A photo exhibition in Brussels is drawing attention to the dire conditions faced by children in Gaza, with graphic images and soul-stirring sounds that have left visitors heart-wrenching. Let's see more.
The exhibition, organized jointly by the United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, the European Union, and the Belgian authorities, aims to draw more attention to the children of the Gaza Strip during the current conflict. Beyond the visuals, the exhibition includes audio recordings from Gaza, such as the clatter of pots and pans as children queue for food, immersing visitors in the harsh reality faced by children in Gaza.
I think it's very terrible. You see that people are suffering, and I think the world is not looking to all the pain they have. And I think the whole world have to support Palestine. We all have to do something for the people there.
As today, the ceasefire in the Gaza Strip is increasingly fragile, as it remains difficult to deliver large volumes of humanitarian aid, and the humanitarian crisis on the ground remains severe. According to recent data from the Palestinian Ministry of Health in the Gaza Strip, the number of deaths since the start of Israeli attacks on October 7, 2023, has risen to 68,234.
In Cameroon, the Constitutional Council declared Paul Biya the winner of the presidential elections held on October 12. The official proclamation ceremony held at the Yaoundé Conference Center, Constitutional Council President Clement Antangana announced that Biya had won his 8th term with 53.66% of the vote. The announcement came a day after 4 people were killed and several members of the security forces were injured in Douala during protests led by opposition supporters. In this scenario, opposition candidate Issa Shiroma Bakari, who had declared himself the winner of the election, obtained 35.19% of the votes. And on Sunday, in the capital city of Victoria, Patrick Hermini was sworn in as the head of state of the Republic of Seychelles. The day was accompanied by popular celebrations. On Monday, it was declared a national holiday by the outgoing government in recognition of the transfer of power. Seasoned public servant and former medical doctor, the 62-year-old Hermini won the presidency in the second round of voting with 52.7% of the votes, as announced by the Electoral Commission of Seychelles on October 12. Representing the United Seychelles Party, Hermini previously served as Speaker of the National Assembly from 2007 to 2016. During the inauguration, the new president vowed to unite the nation, improve the quality of life for citizens through pragmatic policies, and pursue a path of sustainable development for the island nation. The United States government shutdown, now on its 26th day, threatens to leave millions of low-income people without food stamps or with reduced assistance. On Sunday, the Department of Agriculture reported that the well has run dry. Meanwhile, they no longer have the resources to guarantee food aid to low-income populations. In this scenario, food aid will not be distributed starting in November, putting more than 46 million people at risk. The Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program is used by 1 in 8 people in the United States and plays a vital role in many family budgets for food purchases. Most of those affected by the cuts would be women, elderly people, and children. We have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. So join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Mr. Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.